Okay, so last week we learned how to start a new Excel file. We said you come to the start menu and then you should be fine. You should be able to open that. Okay, so that's it. And now the Excel software opens up for you like this. Now we said you can start it by going to the blank workbook. And once you open the blank workbook, you would notice a couple of things on screen. First, you would see that this is a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet in the sense that it is made up of rows and columns. And then we said that the point where a column meets a row, there is a kind of highlighted space right here, which we call that as a cell. And then we said if we picked the cell from C, column C, and then row 4, that means that the cell has a name called C4. And this cell name is called what? A cell address. So we said that on the right side, we have what we call the formula bar. Okay. Now, we are continuing. In today's lesson, I want to teach you entering text and numbers in the Excel file or in your first worksheet. So you remember we talked about sheets as well, right? You could create several sheets and so on and so forth. Now, let us begin. If you want to type a number in Excel, it's pretty easy, very simple. Just click on the cell you want to enter the number in and then just type the number. There's nothing extraordinary about that. Once you type the number, press on enter and then you have your number entered. But notice that the number is aligned to the right. Do you see that? Okay, now this is a way Excel is trying to communicate to you that it recognizes this as a number. Okay, that is to say, at a point in Excel, you could enter a number and make Excel see the number as a text. Now, when a number is entered in Excel, the good thing is that you are able to perform computations on the number. I repeat that again. When a number is entered in a cell, you can perform computations on the number. For example, you can do addition with that number, you can do subtraction, and so on and so forth. However, when a number is entered as a text, you may not be able to perform computations on the number that is read in Excel as a text. I hope you understand. Okay, so in Excel, if you would want Excel to see a number as a text, then you can do a couple of things. Number one, you could use the apostrophe. So you type the apostrophe. Once you type apostrophe, then you enter the particular number you want to enter, 788 in this case for demonstration. You press on enter. Now notice that this time the number is aligned to the left. This means that Excel is reading or understanding this number as a text and not as a number. That means you cannot perform computations on a text. Now, another way to enter a number as a text in Excel is to use equal to, and then you use the quotation mark, then you type whatever value you want to type. And when you press on enter, Excel again puts the number on the left. So I have talked about two ways you can get Excel to accept a number as a text. Now, let's move on. When does this become necessary? Sometimes you may only want to display a number so that someone can read every digit in that number. So if you make it as a text, then you are able to see all the digits, okay, within the width of the column. Okay, but apart from that, it may not be very necessary, because usually you would put numbers in there to perform computations. Okay, there is also another way to go around that. If you have a lot of numeric characters and you're putting them in a column, or if you like in a cell, and the cell width is smaller, so for instance like this, and you type a lot of numbers here, when you press on enter, you notice they will all change into the hash sign. Now, if you want to see all the numbers you have typed in here, one way is to get it to be read as a text. Okay? Then you can see all of them. The other way is to click on that cell, go to the menu, and you are looking for the format. So you come to format, okay? And then when you click on format, look for auto-fit column width. And once you click on that, you are able to see all the numbers showing. Is that okay, guys? Okay, so this is a way to go around it if you do not necessarily want to use apostrophe or whatever to change it into any form. Any questions till now? You are all okay? Good. Now we move on. Now everything I'm saying now is in your slide. So later we'll get to the slide and you realize we'll go a little bit fast. Do not complain that the teacher is skipping slides, okay? Because I got some of you saying that. It's not about skipping slides, it's about keeping what we are doing simple and understandable. If I just read the slides to you, you will not understand. Is that okay, guys? Okay, so let's all be on one page and life is easy for us. Good. Now we move on. In Excel, you can type numbers starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All these numbers are allowed. However, you would quickly realize that the keyboard does not have only 0 to 9. There are other characters on the keyboard. So, of course, in Excel, you can also enter alphabets, okay? Any alphabet you want, and it will be treated as a text, okay? Now, what is so unique about these two things? Apart from this, apart from the numeric characters and then the alphabet, you would realize there are still several other characters on the keyboard, yes or no? Yes. So you know you have period, you have comma, and other characters, right? Now, in Excel, you can type these characters as well. However, you cannot repeat them more than one in a particular cell. Otherwise, if you were dealing with numbers, then Excel will read it as a text. Now, this is what I mean. I can type 2.3. Excel will say, correct, that is a number. However, if I type 2.3.3, Excel will say correct, but that is a text. Is that okay, guys? Okay, so you can repeat whatever you want to repeat, but as you are repeating, you are giving a different meaning to Excel. So Excel sees 2.3, that's fine. 2E, it's okay. But when you say 2E, 3E, whatever, then Excel is reading it as is a text. Is that okay, guys? Okay, so this is also another concept that you all should understand. Now, let us move on again. Now, you can do division in Excel. So we are still on entering text and numbers in Excel. Okay, so you can enter a fraction in Excel. So let's see. In our normal way of entering a fraction, if I asked you to enter 1/2, that is a fraction, isn't it? You would quickly do 1/2. But when I press on enter for this one, Excel will read this as a date. So Excel sees this as what? 1st February. Are you guys following? Okay, so to get Excel to understand what I really want it to do, which is a fraction, then the process is very simple. I only need to add 0 in front of the fraction and give a space. Okay? So I want to still type 1/2, so I'll just type 0 space 1/2. Okay? And when I press on enter, Excel says, oh, now you're saying half. Okay? So I get it now. However, if you type 1/2 straight away, then you are only going to get what? A date. All right, good. So that is very, very simple. Now, what if I type 0.3 and I want Excel to display this 0.3 as a fraction? It's also possible, okay? So with this, Excel will say, yes, it's a number, all right, okay? However, if I wanted to change this to become a fraction, I need to first select the cell, okay? Now, this is what we mean when we say select. It means you click on that cell, right? You select the cell, and then you come to the menu bar. Here is where you are interested in going. So at the home menu, you see there is a place called General, right? Okay, please click on the drop down and scroll down. Do you see fraction here? You see fraction, right? So you press on that and then it changes to become a representation in fraction. This is very, very simple. Okay, select and then go to this menu. It's in the home menu, or others would call it the home ribbon. Okay, the home ribbon. You would see in the number section, you have the option to choose, which is here we went in for fraction. Is that okay, guys? Okay, so we can bring it back to general where it says no specific format. It turns back to 0.3. Okay, so this leads us to the word format. Okay, so Excel has a way it looks at everything you type in. Okay, and that is called what? The format. So if you come to the home ribbon again, or what you call the home menu, in the number section, you see that there are different kinds of format. Okay, you would see general. What is written underneath it? It says what? No specific format. So you see number in decimals, you see currency, and so on and so forth. Date, okay? So these are date formats, right? Short date, long date, and so on and so forth. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Now, let's switch back to the slides so at least you can appreciate how far we've gone to, and if you have questions, you can also ask. Entering text and numbers, and we've talked about this already. Numbers, you can enter as many as 255 characters in a cell. In order to display a number that exceeds the cell width, it may be necessary to have the number displayed as what? Text. Else the cell will show that with the hash sign. I'm going to put in a long number, okay, a lot of characters in the number, and it exceeds the width of the cell, and it's shown like that, then it means Excel is rather going to consider it as a text value, okay? And when it's a text value, you may not be able to perform what? Arithmetic operation on it, or if you like, computation on it, okay? Okay. Any questions? Okay, we move on. So I've also talked about this, that you could enter 0 to whatever, but the moment you start to repeat, then Excel is going to see it as what? A text. You guys follow? Okay. And then entering fraction. I've talked about that. Is that not so? Huh? Entering dates and time. So maybe this is where we are now. But at least I've shown you that if you enter a fraction just like that, it is going to turn into a date. Okay. So Excel recognizes dates and times that are typed in the most common ways. Now, when you type a date or time, Excel will do something with what you have entered. It will convert what you have entered into a serial number. Now, this part, I want you to pay attention very well. Now, when Excel converts it to a serial number, it enables it to perform calculations or arithmetic operations on that time and date. Are you with me, guys? The serial number represents the number of days from the beginning of the 20th century. If you enter the date 1st January 1902, okay, then how do you think Excel sees it? What's the serial number? It's obviously going to be 732.
So if I enter the date 1st January 1902 and I pressed on enter, Excel reads it as a date, but I'm saying internally Excel keeps this as a serial number in order to perform calculations. And to see this, you can just select the cell and then come up right here to the home menu. Now try to change the format to number, and that changes it to 732, meaning that Excel is considering the number of days from 1900 to 1902, 1st January.
So here we are. First, we want to talk about entering date and time in the default format. Okay? So we learned that if you just entered any fraction without preceding it with a 0 and a space, then it could be read in as a date. Is that not so? So if I just did 3 out of 6, it will consider it as 3rd June. Okay, so this is being represented in one format of a date. Okay, now if I wanted this to be represented in the default format of a date, so the process is that first I need to select that cell, and then the second step is to do what? Control hash. Okay, but we are saying on the keypad, on the standard keyboard, you would realize that the hash is on top of the 3, so you must also add on a shift. Okay, so you have Control Shift 3, then that changes to default format, if you would say. Okay, enter the current date, as in today's date. You use control semicolon, no shift for that. Okay, control semicolon. So that gives us this one. If you want to enter the current time, then you use, that gives you the current time value. Say if I type 5 full colon 00, this means it's time, right? So it's 5 o'clock. This is to the right. But if I want it to be displayed in the default format, then I'll use control at. Then it gives me 5 o'clock a.m. Is that okay, guys? All right. So notice the differences. Let's come to the autocomplete. Okay? So we are saying in Excel, you don't have to repeat the same thing for several cells. For instance, if you type hello here, it's not necessary to type the same hello here and then be doing that all through if you were supposed to fill the whole column. So what you do is that you simply select the cell, and then you come to the right bottom. At the edge here, you see there's a square here. Once you place the cursor on it, it turns into a plus sign, and that is called a fill handle. So you're supposed to use that to drag it down up to the row you would like to fill. Okay, so once you do that, it fills up. Okay. Yeah, and then we are saying to delete, you can simply select the cell and then just backspace. Okay, or you can do delete. Yes, if you want to delete all the values within a column, you can select the column and then you press delete and everything is gone. Okay, when you don't like your action, you just use Ctrl Z to undo. Okay, Ctrl Z to undo. Now you can also cut the content of a whole range of cells with Ctrl X when you have selected the whole range. So Ctrl X, and then you can go, and that means we've cut it, but you can go and paste this somewhere. Let's say we are interested, it comes here, then you do Ctrl V. Okay, so then it's pasted here. Is that okay, guys? Now, the last thing we are talking about today is that when you have a format in a particular cell and you do a backspace or delete, it doesn't actually take off the format in the cell. Is that okay? So here, when we select this one and we go check up here, we see the format is a fraction. Is that also? So let's try and see if this really is true. So we have to look for where this fraction is. Now, if I just delete or backspace, then it's still a fraction. Do you see that, guys? So it means that there is no value in this cell, but the cell is still considered as a fraction cell. Is that also? What if I click another cell and then I come up here? I see it's general. Okay, it means that the format for this cell is different from the format for this cell. Is that okay? Now, if I want to clean every format thing associated with this cell, I don't have to use only delete or backspace or whatever, right? I will come to the menu and I am interested in the clear. Okay? Yeah, so in the home menu, okay, come to this group, the editing group, the clear. You come to clear all, okay? You can clear format as well, all right? So once you clear format, I think now it turns back to general, okay? So here, it's still here, but it turns back to general. It means that the format is gone. Now you can do your normal operations on the cell. Thank you very much for coming today. Bye-bye for now.